From Lord Blackwell.
Thank you. Chancellor, I just wondered, you mentioned the high levels of taxation at the moment, which, as you say, have been rising in recent years. Since the war, no government has, until now, managed to get more than 35% of GDP in taxation. It's now about 37.5%. Do you have a view on what is sustainable in terms of levels of taxation? I mean, the OBR, as you know, forecasts that with the ageing population, government expenditure could go up to 60% of GDP within the lifetime of current young people. Do you have a ceiling or view on what is the right level of taxation in the long run once you get through the current debt problem?
So the OBR forecast for this Parliament have in the final year of the forecast period tax as a share of GDP at 38%. That's not a target, but that reflects the fiscal rules that, those are the things that are my constraints and are the anchor for fiscal policy, are those two fiscal rules rather than a tax to GDP ratio. What I would argue is the best way to reduce that ratio but still have public services that we need is to increase the denominator, to increase GDP. And that is where all my focus is, because if we can grow the economy, then you can reduce that ratio without cutting investment in public services. But I also say that public services is not just about money. We've got to reform the way our public services work. And that's why we did a zero-based review as part of the spending review. First time the government's done a zero-based review since 2007. And in that zero-based review, we managed to find bits of government spending that we just didn't need to do anymore. In the Treasury, we are cutting the cost of government by 20%, and that admin reduction is the same for all areas of government. Of course, in the Treasury, it bites a bit more because almost everything we do is admin costs. So I think the way, if you want to reduce that tax burden, is to increase GDP, and that's what I'm focused on.
So your target would be to decrease that ratio rather than allow it to increase?
Well, I've got to set out my fiscal rules, and those fiscal rules are not a tax as a share of GDP rule. It's a stability rule to balance day-to-day spending with tax receipts, and investment rule to get debt down as a share of GDP. The 38% is where we end up at the end of this period. But my focus is on growing the economy, which is what I think the investment rule really enables, and the stability rule means that the Bank of England can continue to cut interest rates as they've done 4 times in this last year.
Lord Pettigrew.